and welcome to episode 3 of Hambini's bicycle build, or Hambini builds an aerodynamic bike on the cheap. Now, if you tuned into episodes 1 and 2, you will know that I bought this Look KG386 after some bartering with a woman in a charity shop in Bristol for the princely sum of 50 quid. And since then, we had, when you buy a 50 quid bike, expect a few problems. So the first problem was the seat post was well and truly welded in there, more than Weetabix, welded to the side of a dish. And also the steering post was cut a bit too short. Both of those things we've fixed. Now we come on to episode 3, and those observant among you, and there are lots of observant people, will know that I have flipped the stem over. I'm not really sure if I'm going to keep these handlebars, but they came with the bike, so we'll hang on there for now. Someone also said, one of the safety Nazis, said the bearings had too much preload on them. Don't know if you can hear that. That isn't preload, my friend. That is the sound of fuckedness. So those bearings are fucked. Done that. Did the alignment of the rear dropout, so that's sorted. And now we come on to a few other modifications that I have made. The most noticeable one of which, maybe if you've got good eyesight, is I have drilled the frame. So I've drilled the frame for Di2. So I'm going to get Di2, and that is actually coming in the next video, but the reasoning for that is lots of places are now going bust because of coronavirus, and like the vulture that I am, I've swooped in and bought a load of shit. It just hasn't turned up yet, but I wanted to get this video out. So I bought some Di2 gear, but this video is all about one thing, and that is the bottom bracket. Now the bottom bracket on this bike is a threaded Shimano BB SMBB 9000. So that's what came with the bike. Retail value is €29.99. Well, that's what it is in the local bike shop. I think that's like $35, or if you're in the UK, maybe 30 quid, something like that. Anyway, it's about 30 quid. To be honest, I'm not too happy with this bottom bracket. I think it's a bit shit because they've done a few little things on there that I don't like. So let me talk you through that and the solution. So I guess the first thing I want to comment on is the hole. So I've drilled a Di2 hole here. In fact, there were already holes. That hole was already there. It was like a drain hole. So I figured I might as well just use it. There's also one in there for the front mech, and one over here for the wire that goes to the handlebars. Now the safety Nazis will say, you shouldn't be going and drilling holes, but I'll be honest, you got to draw a line somewhere, and there are already holes there. That hole was already basically there. That one's been drilled in a reinforced section, and so is that one. I've had them checked, and this frame is very well made, so you can almost drill where you like. Now, as far as the bottom bracket goes, if I get this out, this is the OE Shimano bottom bracket. Now, what I am going to fit is this, which is, to all intents and purposes, a thing of beauty. It is a BB Infinite bottom bracket, ISO threaded, extremely well made. Look at that for well madeness. In fact, have a look, molded. Sign of quality, that molded construction. And these ceramic tech bearings. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to fit in there. Did anyone actually fucking believe that? Of course I'm not going to fit a BB Infinite bottom bracket. I'd rather go and fuck a fucking chicken. Right, instead, we have this. None of that consumer bollocks. We have Hambini's ISO threaded bottom bracket made of super light. So this is the product of essentially 100 years worth of engineering excellence from me, the bearing supplier, which is in this case SKF, and the material supplier based in Duisburg. So this is significantly lighter than the OE Shimano bottom bracket. Well, actually it's not. It's slightly heavier than the OE Shimano bottom bracket, but the OE Shimano bottom bracket uses extremely small bearings. Now if I take this out, oops, going the wrong way. That is a 6805 bearing, so that's the bearing that's in one of these bottom brackets, and even in the BB Infinite bottom bracket, that's the same size bearing. Okay. Now the OE Shimano bottom bracket is using really quite tiny bearings. Yeah. That is not really good, and I didn't like that, to be honest. So I went about making one of these. Now there are a couple of key differences between these bottom brackets, and the main thing I hate is misalignment. So if you take the Shimano bottom bracket, it's 3 pieces. So the right, is that the right or the left? Right. Plastic centre sleeve with an O-ring, and the non-drive side like that. So that's how that's made up. Same kind of thing on the BB Infinite bottom bracket. And then you've got these plastic inserts to take you down to 24mm. This one is 2 pieces, and it's a very, very close, tight fit into there, and you can see the marks on there already. Yeah, so there's hardly any play in there. Very, very little. So it's quite difficult to get that fit. What that forces you to do is make sure the hole that it goes into is well aligned. So I guess the first thing I want to comment on is the hole. So I've drilled a Di2 hole here. In fact, there were already holes, that hole was already there, it was like a drain hole. So I figured I might as well just use it. There's also one in there for the front mech, and one over here for the wire that goes to the handlebars. Now the safety Nazis will say, you shouldn't be going and drilling holes, but I'll be honest, you got to draw a line somewhere, and there are already holes there. That hole was already basically there. That one's been drilled in a reinforced section, and so is that one. I've had them checked, and this frame is very well made, so you can almost drill where you like. Now as far as the bottom bracket goes, if I get this out, this is the OE Shimano bottom bracket. Now what I am going to fit is this, which is, to all intents and purposes, a thing of beauty. It is a BB Infinite bottom bracket, ISO threaded, extremely well made. Look at that for well madeness. In fact, have a look, moulded. Sign of quality, that moulded construction. And these ceramic tech bearings. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to fit in there. Did anyone actually fucking believe that? Of course I'm not going to fit a BB Infinite bottom bracket. I'd rather go and fuck a fucking chicken. Right, instead we have this. None of that consumer bollocks. We have Hambini's ISO threaded bottom bracket made of super light. So this is the product of essentially 100 years worth of engineering excellence from me, the bearing supplier, which is in this case SKF, and the material supplier based in Duisburg. So this is significantly lighter than the OE Shimano bottom bracket. Well, actually it's not. It's slightly heavier than the OE Shimano bottom bracket, but the OE Shimano bottom bracket uses extremely small bearings. And if I take this out, oops, going the wrong way. That is a 6805 bearing, so that's the bearing that's in one of these bottom brackets, and even in the BB Infinite bottom bracket, that's the same size bearing. Okay. Now the OE Shimano bottom bracket is using really quite tiny bearings. Yeah. That is not really good, and I didn't like that, to be honest. So I went about making one of these. Now there are a couple of key differences between these bottom brackets, and the main thing I hate is misalignment. So if you take the Shimano bottom bracket, it's 3 pieces. So the right, is that the right or the left? Right. Plastic centre sleeve with an O-ring, and the non-drive side like that. So that's how that's made up. Same kind of thing on the BB Infinite bottom bracket. And then you've got these plastic inserts to take you down to 24mm. This one is 2 pieces, and it's a very, very close, tight fit into there, and you can see the marks on there already. Yeah, so there's hardly any play in there. Very, very little. So it's quite difficult to get that fit. What that forces you to do is make sure the hole that it goes into is well aligned. While we're here, if I show you inside the bottom bracket, see I've drilled holes there, or internal holes for DI2. So they will be going in shortly. Well, let's just thread this bottom bracket up. So let's make sure that's the right side. So that is the drive side that's gone in. Like so. I've left it slightly loose because we're going to put the other side in now. But if I flip the bike over, that is almost bang on concentric with the outside. So that's the Lux shell is extremely well aligned. So if I put this in, it should just literally screw in. So we'll try that. Let's try it. I managed to loosen the other side off, but there we go. So that's in. So both sides of that are in. So that is pretty much bang on good alignment. Now I've used 6805 bearings in here, and I'll talk through the design of this bottom bracket in a separate video, but just to give you an indication of the difference in drag, I'll put the crank through and then give it a spin. So I've put the crank on. And this is a fairly well used crank, but you can see the difference in drag. So the bearings and the alignment are as good as I can make it, and that's what you end up with. So if it's a precision engineered product, which I believe this is, then you can see the difference in inertia. So that is it. So you can, for a threaded bottom bracket, that is actually very good, because the potential for drag in a threaded bottom bracket is actually higher than a press fit because of the way they're made. So I'm pretty pleased with that. In fact, I'm well pleased with that. So that's that. Right, let me take you in to have some PowerPoint slides. Now, I know some people out there want to know, how these things are made and how I draw and stuff like that. And generally, I try to avoid using CAD. I mean, believe it or not, I don't use it so much. But in terms of the design, this is it. Now it looks like an absolute fucking abortion, but it's mentally how I think about, you know, all the fits, the tolerances, the alignment, all of that, to make sure everything is bang on. So on the right hand side, you can see the limits with threading. So the thread on a BSA bottom bracket is 1.37 by 24 teeth per inch. So you get a clearance between the male thread and the female thread, and that causes a misalignment. When you apply load, that's like hard load, and the cycling industry generally talks in watts, but in engineering it's really torque that you're interested in. When you apply a high torque load, you find that the bottom bracket will move. So in order to counteract that, that's why it's made a one piece, or not one piece, but a very close fit to allow it to be, well, to have the minimal amount of, you know, wobble and free play. So that's that. The bearings, SKF did a grand job sorting me out with them. And then the materials, you know, that again, some suppliers that I've had for a long time helped me with that as well. Then on the bottom here, you've got the fit. On a BB86, sorry, not BB86, on a BSA bottom bracket, the bearings are outboard of the frame, so you can control that how you want. Now the the Shimano bottom bracket has actually quite thin walls now, and you know, as a piece of manufacturing engineering, this is the dog's bollocks. You know, I could not get anywhere near that. You know, and I'm envious, because that is mass produced, it works, and it works well. Okay, it doesn't have the ultimate performance that my bottom bracket that I've just shown you has, but it is, you know, for what it is, that the manufacturing engineer that made that could run rings around me. If you go to the other example, which is the machined bottom bracket, which is this BB Infinite one, you can quite clearly see the difference between me and BB Infinite, because this is all labelled nicely, it comes in a nice box, it's all shiny, it's got their logo on it, everything. Whereas my bottom bracket has absolutely nothing on it. It's just, you know, I've got the absolute bare minimum on it and nothing more. So that's the mentality of the man who made it. So yeah, there we go. I've digressed, sorry. so I was on about the wall thickness. So the wall thickness here is quite a critical thing. Now, on the Shimano bottom brackets, they've made them much smaller than well, the BB Infinite and my one. And I think that's to the detriment, because when you apply load on it, it does seem to flex. So, you know, that's where we are. The PowerPoint. Everybody loves PowerPoint, especially when Hambini does it. Right, here we go. So, I'm obviously not patriotic enough, so I've decided to put a French flag on all of my slides, and I've decided to call this... Oh, fuck. I've got the background wrong, but anyway. Aero Bike Build. Putain, un chien. By Hambini, aged 5. Right, I've even got this little thing here that the chap in Sweden sent me, so I can draw on here. So if I put a... Oh god, how the fuck... Oh fuck. How do you turn the pen on? Shit. Pen. Oh, that's freaking amazing. How do I delete? Nope. Obviously, if you turn it the other way around, it doesn't delete. How do I... Oh, delete. Fucking hell. Yeah. Right, okay. Right, where we are currently. So, the bike we bought for 50 smackers from a lady in a charity shop, which we will come to shortly about the lady. It had the stuck seat post, which we fixed with some Scalex, which is for euphoric. Oh, bollocks. Acid. Oh, this is just amazing. Ooh. Yes. Oh, this is just the best thing ever. Sorry, I'm so easily pleased. Right. And the fork was cut too short, and in order to fix the fork, we had one of those extension stereo tube things that jacked it up slightly. You've just seen the bottom bracket be installed. So I'll do a separate video on that. Loads of people have asked how do you go about designing a bottom bracket. So I will I'll do a separate video on that. I stuck 2 fingers up at the safety police and just drilled the damn frame for Di2. Now, if you are, I don't know, a bit of a pussy really, then don't drill it. But if you just have balls the size of grapefruit, then go for it. Let's be honest, who's a cyclist who has balls the size of grapefruits? Most of them have got small sperm counts because they just spend too much time on a bike, and then that afflicts their sperm count. So yeah, the frame is drilled for Di2. Right, to do, I need to get a group set. Now, given that COVID's come around and all of these places are going bust, I've swiped in. Hopefully, I'm going to get a group set, or most of it. And realistically, I mean, I've had Campag stuff before, and it did go through my mind, do I get Campag? But really, I want Shimano. The other problem is the cable routing for the front mech on that frame is damaged, so it has to be Di2 or ETAP, or even that FSA system. The cable mechanical shifting isn't going to work on that frame because of some frame damage. So I could get the frame fixed, but I really can't be fucked. Right, this is an important one, and I'm going to cover this in the next slide. And then finally, get a seat. I might just use a seat from my other bike. And I lied when I said finally, because there's one little thing that we need to do, which is we need to find Belinda and then interview her for this channel. Okay, the wheel choice. This is a critical part of the bike. Now, where's my pointer? Not there. Right. Oh yeah, I can see the pointer now. What I've got is, so this is the bloke. Oh god, this is just like heaven. This is the bloke on his bike, and we've got drag, which is going upwards like that. And I've put these blue lines in, which I've now coloured red. Oh fuck. Just to illustrate different points along the axis. Now, one thing you need to understand is, in terms of aerodynamics, the biggest loss by a country mile is the rider. So as soon as you pump the rider onto the bike, you've screwed, because the rider is almost a bluff body. You can do loads of things to try and reduce your drag, in the sense that you can put tight clothing on and wear a helmet. Well, wear an aerodynamic helmet. Not these things with the vents, they're not really that aerodynamic. You're better off just shaving your head. But the rider is the worst thing to have. So if you want to go fast, what you need to do is you need to be horizontal, like on a recumbent. So the rider drag is massive. It's 70%. The next biggest thing is the wheels. I'm just going to move my little pointer thing here. The frame drag is comparatively small. Oh, this is pressure sensitive, man. Oh, God, I should have got one of these ages ago. Thank you very much, Billiam. But, and this is the big but, there is something called a compound gain or loss. So if you go and interrupt the airflow at the front of the bike, where's the pointer gone? Around here. Okay, and you make it highly turbulent, you cannot gain it along the rest of the bike, so you've got a loss. Now, to illustrate that, I've drawn this line. So this line represents a loss. So we are going from here this way. Okay, so that's the drag value. Oh, bugger. That's the drag there. Okay, you couldn't really. That is the level of separation. That's the crux of it. The further you're going down, the more the separation. So that is the first line. This line, okay, is the same deal but worse. So you've got, oh fuck. And what am I doing? I must be just pressing this too wrong. Right, yeah. So that is that one. So if you correlate this, they both start at the same point, which is here. Yeah. When they get to the rider's head, which is here, you've got a difference between these two lines. So that is a loss. And that's a compound loss because the frame and the rider, okay, in the case where the good wheel, which is this top, oh, can I delete the ink? Ink. Erase all ink. Yeah, so this one is the good wheel and this one is the crap wheel. All right. That compound loss means on the good wheel, which is this one, you lose less in the frame. Whereas this one, if you had the same frame, oh, I need to get used to this. You had the same frame, yeah. Oh, balls. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sure I'm not pressing the button. Right, if you had the same frame, you lose more because of your choice of wheel. So for example, if you had, I'm just going to make this up, but a Specialized S-Works frame, and then you put a set of crap wheels on it and then a set of good wheels on it, your frame will be less aerodynamic with the crap wheels because you've got a compound loss. When you get to the back of the bike, which is round here, yeah, you don't really lose much between the wheels. There's not really that much to lose. The difference is if you put a disc in there, then you would gain. Right. With that in mind, choices. So the choices for the wheels that I'm looking at. Now, realistically, a aero gain is a bit of a fallacy, really, because you only gain that when you're going at speed. When you are pedaling at 0 miles per hour or kilometers per hour and you're going uphill, you're better off sorting your transmission out, and that's why you've seen me sort that bottom bracket out. But nonetheless, this is an aero build, so in terms of hubs, Carbon TI, Zip 177s, and the Miche, I think it's Primato, so they're the ones that I'll go for. And then you've got all sorts of wheels, Reynolds, YOLO, Light Bicycle, Shimano C50 wheel prime, second-hand wheels. Now some of these wheels, because they're not like the current year's models, you can get them quite cheap. So I have seen some Shimano wheels, C50s, so Dura C50s, go for 400 quid brand new, and that will be a bargain, because if you plonk a set of 23mm tyres on there, then you're onto a good one. Wheel prime, and these are just rebranded Far Eastern wheels. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them, but you know, you get a bit better than that, and that's mainly in the hubs. And obviously second-hand wheels. So they're the things that we are looking at. So in the next episode, I hope to have the group set on the bike. I might also change the handlebars. I'm not quite sure, but we will see. So, oh, bollocks. So that brings us to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, remember to whack the subscribe button and the like button. And if you didn't, go fuck yourself. Actually hit the dislike button because it's good for the algorithm. But until next time, thanks very much. Ciao.